Welcome back, guys. Glad to have you all here for episode 31. That's Galaxy Radio episode 31 featuring Burnt, and we have a very fun guest. We have Burnt Banksy, who will obviously, hopefully, explain the name for everybody. When we do begin, for those that are brand new, and obviously those that have been here for 31 weeks, of course. You guys know the format. We have a guest on, an AMA section, and that can run from anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes. And then if it does not run for the full hour or just goes for the 30 minutes or so, I'll stay on with you guys till the end of the hour so that we do reach the whole hour no matter what. And talk about some different things, maybe some just community focused things for the Galaxy community in particular. But for now, let's go ahead and dive right into it with our guest for today. Um, Feel free to introduce yourself. Give us a bit of your background. Currently what you're working on, and also would you want me to call you Burnt Banksy, or would you have a specific name you'd like me to use?
Yeah, you can call me Burnt. It's easier. I
Oh,
kind of
burnt
shot
work.
myself in the foot like 2.5 years ago by calling myself Burnt Banksy, and it's just haven't been able to
Yeah.
get away from that.
As for me, it was I was Weather Boy the whole time, and then eventually it was like, okay, whoops, it's fine. I'm used to it. You know what I mean? You just kind of get used to it.
Yeah. Yeah, the name Weatherboy is good though. I mean, I as soon as I saw in the chat that your name was Weatherboy, I just immediately I'm like, yeah, this guy's it.
Would
He's
wouldn't
legit.
you like to know? Yeah.
Wouldn't you like to know Weatherboy? I'm like, sorry, I really had to do that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. It rolls off the tongue, so
It
at least it's
does.
an easy one. It's an easy one.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, of
But yeah,
course.
yeah. Feel free to give us an intro to yourself, a bit of your background as well, and how you started working on Burnt.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my name is Burnt Banksy, and the reason I have that name is because I burnt a Banksy. Hard to get that one. But yeah, so about to, and that kind of goes into the whole story about how everything started, right? So,
Yeah.
about I mean, this was early 2021. Early 2021, before NFTs were kind of really what they are now. We bought a Banksy art piece and we lit it on fire. We burnt it, and we
Insane.
had Vice News take a professional portrait of it, upload it as an NFT, and kind of with this story in mind of if it holds its value from the physical to the digital kind of realm. And we were surprisingly
Hmm.
correct. So my name is also kind of how I started. And it really kind of comes from that. And then Burnt was started very shortly after that. So about 2021, Burnt was started. And originally we had a really bad time selling on OpenSea at the time. And so we wanted to, it was expensive, it was slow, and we wanted to kind of fix that. So we actually started building a decentralized marketplace on Solana. This is back in 2021. So for
Hmm.
Solana, what Solana, we built some of the early collection standards, NFT standards, um, you know, and I think at this point, I can get into Zion, but Zion is kind of what we're currently working on, and that's a whole other thing. But I'll wait for you to ask me that.
Oh, of course, I appreciate it. Yeah, we usually obviously we follow like a format, preset questions, etc. But if
Hmm.
anything comes up in conversation, don't stress. No, not a problem at all. Um, so so you just what was the idea? Like, how long did you sit on that when you in the process of, when it came to the Banksy piece and the idea of burning it? Obviously, in my opinion, it's a pretty smart idea to get notoriety. Um,
Yeah,
but, like, how long
yeah.
did you sit on that?
It was we immediately we started. We the idea happened, and at first it was like let's just burn something, for the kind of
Yeah.
stated reasons. But we found the one Banksy piece. We're based in New York, and so we found the Banksy piece, and it was in a New York gallery. It was absolutely perfect. It was like the photo of it was the painting I should say was like a Sotheby's auction. It says, "I can't believe you morons actually buy this shit." And it was
Yeah,
man, it
yeah,
was
yeah.
perfect. It was like the best one. It was called Morons, and it was
That's
great.
genius.
But it was I mean, I would say between ideation and execution, it was probably Probably about 2 months in total from getting, the longest was getting, we got Vice News to film, we got,
Wow.
them to photograph as well, just getting everything set up PR-wise, getting everything
I
set
bet they
up,
were all over that, honestly.
they're like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
No, I mean, it's the best ideas are like those crazy ideas you just get and everybody's like, "Yeah, we have to do it." Like, I
Yeah.
completely agree. That is very smart. And how do you mind if I ask how much was the piece worth before you burned it?
Yeah, it was worth about, $100,000, US dollars.
Wow, okay.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so that was split between, 2 friends, and, yeah, it's a lot of fun.
No,
Rest is
I
history, I guess.
yeah. I mean, and here you are today, right? Everything kinda connects together, right? So
Yeah.
Um, and it leads to, bigger things, so I appreciate you, burning that, otherwise I wouldn't be here talking to you
A lot
today,
of
so
people don't, so thank you.
true. It's more fun that way. It's
Right, it really is. I'm not good at being liked. I try hard. I really do try hard. I'm not good at it.
I think yeah, in the sense of, like, it's cool to, like, have, pieces like that and stuff, but, like, somebody can be mad about you burning it, but at the same time, does it not make life a little more exciting when people do things like this? You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
it's
right, you wanna
it's
stay boring
boring.
the whole time?
Exactly, I don't just wanna look at it. If, one off, it gets burnt sometimes, it's way it's way more exciting,
Yeah, every once in a
so
while there's some arson. You just gotta spark a little arson in your life. That's
yeah,
that's how you make it.
once in a while, you just gotta do something insane, so
Gotta literally spice it up, heyo.
exactly. So let's now that we have the origin and the understanding, a bit of the background of everything. So we've come to this point of burnt, and then your burnt is going into Zion.
Mhm.
Can you kind of give us an intro into Zion and sort of what's the whole deal there, just in the most simple form that you can, as well as I just want to let you know sometimes I may ask you for uh, explanations of words, descriptions, etc., just so the users that may not be
Yeah,
fully
absolutely.
tech involved. Yeah. Okay. But yeah, just intro to Zion.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think you kind of gave me a pretty good, headway with the acronyms, right?
Of
Which is,
course.
we're building a layer 1 to, is specifically designed to extract all the technical jargon away from crypto. At its simplest point, that's, we're effectively working really hard to mimic a Web2 experience, but still having the benefits of crypto. So, we can break down the cultural and the friction barriers that kind of exist. That's the short
Interesting.
and sweet of it. Yeah.
Interesting. So, and how long have you guys been working on Zion?
About a year now. It's been about a
About a
year
year.
now. Yeah. Yeah, we were coming out of the Solana marketplace and kinda coming out of that. I would say, what it was really was, it was we were running the Solana marketplace and,
Mhm.
Do Kwon happened, right? And
Yeah,
the whole
yeah,
Terra
yeah.
Luna crash, right? And then it's just like, you look around and it's I would say there's like three routes a crypto company can take, right? You can understand that, there's uh, you can try to kind of push these boundaries, which are very hard, and try to get more users in, but no
Mhm.
one trusts crypto, right? You look around, no one trusts crypto.
100%. Yeah.
Prices are down, and then people. There's no one coming in. That's option one. The other option is you kind of revert to what's known, right? And you kind of hyper specialize, and you see this a lot in like a reversion to DeFi, where
Mhm.
a lot of NFTs reverted to kind of DeFi elements, and you saw that with Blur, kind of the Blur airdrop being pretty hot,
Yeah.
and for the NFTs for traders, or you kind of just or you really looked and you're just like, "Hey, what I'm building isn't working." And I know a lot of people who very respectfully kind of return money to investors that way. And it's really difficult. So, we were kind of, we saw the market crash right before our eyes, as most people did, right?
Yeah.
And we were kind of faced with this decision of kind of continue down this route of like a decentralized NFT marketplace or, really trying to fix what we saw as problems because no one's going to trust crypto for the next 4 years is what we told ourselves, right?
No, I
And so that's
completely
Zion was
agree.
born.
Yeah, it's been such a roller coaster, honestly, and I do like to talk about adoption. These different things that we're trying. like sometimes we'll speak with, like gaming projects, etc., things like that. They're where things need to be very highly focused on like how to bring users, right?
Mhm.
But in my opinion, personally, I think we are at like one of the worst points we've been at for adoption when it comes to the barrier just being like I guess it's the mood that people have around it that's been
Yep.
portrayed to them through um,
FTX and the media.
yeah, FTX, like all these things, and then at the same time, NFTs have done. I like NFTs, right?
Love
I
them.
like the
Yeah.
idea, yeah. But the sad thing is it's done. It's made it way harder for
Mhm.
everybody to get involved, just due to like I don't know. Everybody just really hates them. Like
Yeah.
most people that I've spoken to, probably 9 out of 10 people hate NFTs. And it completely averts them from anything crypto. So yeah, I agree over the last like 12 months, obviously as well, we've seen this, from just our perspective at Galaxy. And I will say this, we are very lucky in the spot that we are in, as
Yep.
we've been able to continue working alongside so many projects regardless of the market and just keep pushing forward, where some are in specific spaces in the crypto space where once it goes down, it's kind of like a ghost town, right?
Well,
And
you
then
guys do NFTs right, right?
yeah, yeah, well, yeah,
You
yeah, we
you
do it
really do. I
differently.
mean, you do it how it should. Like, an NFT. It's funny because you look at I don't want to say every, but you look at a bull market when it comes to crypto,
Yeah,
and it the progress that's made in a bull market is minimal, right? Like, you look at what NFTs were before, and it was like, it was Beeple, it was me, it was the Nyan cat, right? And then
yeah,
Bored Ape Yacht Club kind of came out and changed the game, right? Because it said, here's an avatar, here's your Web3 identity, here's this community that you can be a part of. And then that was like right at the start of the true bull market. So then you didn't really see too much innovation. You saw a lot of copy and pasting of like that one formula with like whitelisting influencers and then
yeah.
doing another, animal PFP with some wacky backgrounds and a hat. And it was, it's not the point, right? And so
Yeah.
you guys have always done well because I really respect, like, especially like what you guys doing with like oats and everything like that, because it's, yes, it is an NFT, but it's an NFT in the fact that it's a community engagement mechanism. It's not necessarily a, giraffe with his tongue sticking out. Um, and I think it's kind, it's the perspective where it's like you can call it an oat and it doesn't need to be an NFT,
Yeah.
right? But you could still serves its purpose and it's still, it still serves the task that it was meant to do, which is what I
Yeah,
really
I
respect.
agree. And I appreciate that. Thank you. It's been a long road for sure because like we had such a standard for what made people money, right?
Uh-huh.
And then those new people that came into the space were like, "Oh, this is the standard for what makes money." And then just like I mean, as we know, when the market crashes, it crashes and it takes a second for all of that to be completely ripped away. So then
Wiped.
all of these new people have no idea what to do next. And then we see so many recycled things trying to kind of like push back to be like, oh, we can still make money, but it just continues to lose. And then people see that, and then they're like, this is what it is, right? Because that's
Mhm.
all the media will show, right? Because obviously the bad news gets the clicks, right? So,
Mhm.
and it's kind of stuck things into like a weird space. But I think that, and I like to think that we've done a great job in keeping people active in communities, and that's been, I would say, one of the larger goals on our side that we have accomplished is, even through these last 12 months, obviously our server in particular, we have like 400,000, 500,000 people in
Mhm.
here. A lot of lurkers, of course. But I track it, everything, etc. We work hard on it, and we have like tens of thousands of people still, every day chatting. We have 2 to 3 thousand people in the crypto space still joining our weekly calls, and it's because I think that we have focused on less just being like, this is an NFT, buy it, NFT community around like Giraffe, for example, and more
Mhm.
of using it as a tool to let the user feel empowered, right? Let the user feel like I've done this task, I've received this thing, I'm involved, I'm understanding the
Mhm.
project better, and if we can keep pushing towards more of that, I think that maybe. it's gonna take a lot of time for us to break the barrier of like I hate NFTs, but I hope we can do it in the long run. It's gonna
I
be
mean,
tough
dude,
though.
it's like it's gonna take a rebrand. Like if you remember,
Yeah, 100%.
ICO was such a dirty word, right?
Oh, yeah,
And then
yeah.
and then it became an IEO or an
And then it was like,
IDEO,
wow,
right?
what's that? Yeah.
Okay, yeah, and it's like, people, NFT really meant nothing, especially when you saw like fractionalized NFTs. That was like my favorite part. It's just like, cool, so it's a fungible fucking token.
That was so
Um,
funny. Yeah, it was. Those killed me. Everybody's like, "Whoa, dude, we have to get the fractionalized dog. This is brand." I was like, "Wait, guys, slow down, slow down.
but let's just really look at where we're coming here.
We've gone full circle."
We've gone
Um,
full circle on this. Exactly.
yeah, no, I agree. I agree with rebrand because the word NFT is just like it's funny because the a way I like to look at it is like if I were to, meet somebody, like meet a girl, for example, right? And if I were to mention an NFT to her, she would no longer speak to me.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, she'd
It's
get a
like,
call and be like, "Oh my god, my friend, I gotta go pick her up."
yeah, yeah, exactly, right? And on the day that I can, mention that, maybe I'm involved in something like that, and they're not immediately off put and okay,
We're so fucking back. Then we're
yeah,
so back.
we are back. We are back at that point. That's when we're back. That's when we know it's worked. We put the work in, and we're good to go. That's how I like to
Exactly.
view it.
But I think, like, I think to, like, that point, right, like, if there's I was reading an article by, like, Foundation today, which was
Mhm.
interesting because it was like Foundation V1, it was, we were trying to reach the non-retail audience oh, sorry, we were trying to reach a retail audience by extracting the crypto, but now
Mhm.
V2 is we're gonna be all for crypto, and you're like, you look at it and you're like, "Foundation, okay, it's like an NFT marketplace. What is retail why would retail need to buy NFTs?" Like,
Exactly,
aside
yeah.
from maybe, like, a speculative value or, like, maybe, that I think there are obviously a lot of, benefits, but especially, like, the way that the industry of NFTs is right now, it's pretty purely speculative, right?
Mhm.
Of course, you have things like oats and everything like that, but unless it has value, like, inherent value in the scarcity, there's no reason aside from speculation, and so I think the rebrand's gonna exist, and I think, there's a statistic that I love, which is like, people look at it and they're like, "Wow, crypto's seen the same adoption as like the internet, right?" Which required an individual user to buy a computer, right?
Yeah,
Like, which it was a
yeah.
huge barrier, and it's like, how are we congratulating ourselves on this when everyone already has the everything needed, but we're still seeing the similar adoption curve as computing, while like AI is just blowing past us.
Oh, yeah, I think that's been, like, the fastest, kind of, I would say, update, I guess, because
Hmm.
we usually go through the same cycle,
Yeah. Yeah, I
and
remember when
then
TensorFlow came out, like,
yeah.
in middle of 2019 or 2018, and it was like crypto was at all-time low, AI was at an all-time high, and it's just dude, they're one of those things that just totally inversely correlate with each
Yeah.
other. It's hilarious.
It's pretty wild, honestly. And so I'm gonna give you a question now from one of our audience members, Alex Guy, who always asks the best questions. This kind of leads into the discussion around Bert, and then we'll go right into just kind of like more deeper stuff into Zion afterwards. But so Alex has a question. He says, with significant media coverage, obviously such as the 8 million funding led by Animoca Brands, how does Burnt plan to utilize these funds to further its mission?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and that fundraise was, effectively at the start of everything here, right? So that fundraise
Yeah.
kicked off Zion. Um, and so a lot of that, it's funny because I would say that we split Zion actually into or actually Burnt as a whole into two kind of groups, right? One of them is Zion, which is, this kind of core infrastructure team. And the other one is Studio. And a big goal of Zion, I mean, that's pretty easy to explain, right? We're building an L1, you can see us kind of working here. But Studio is kind of this part where it's, we're not really targeting the crypto user. We're effectively building everything that would, taking everything that we're building on the Zion side and going to real world users, building real world products that, you know, extract the jargon but include the benefits of crypto. And so, we
Mhm.
have, I would say, like 4 or 5 projects in the pipeline on Studio end that are just built on top of Zion, help us work with Zion a lot more. And so, it's just this mass culmination of, one side is building, one side is experimenting, and more burnt Banksy kind of things as well in the pipeline as well. But that is a great question.
Interesting. I like that last piece that you mentioned there. If you have any alpha for us, please don't feel free to let us know. Of
I am
course.
lighting myself on fire. I'm trying to figure out a reason
Really?
to.
Oh my
Yeah.
God.
I literally it's funny because we, like, scoped it all out, but the issue is, like, we couldn't find a thing to tie it to, right? But, like, we had this whole plan of how to
Oh,
light myself on fire and not kill
yeah.
me, but, like, the next steps on it are, like, figure out why.
Yeah, it has to. I agree. I think that's exciting because you go from the art piece to this, but it has to make sense, right?
Yeah, I'm not
Um,
gonna do something because it's like, "Ha man on fire." Like,
then it's just like it's just Jackass at that point, right?
yeah,
And then
exactly, which I
obviously
don't
that's
mind. It was a great
done.
great movie, I mean.
Yeah, agreed. I do love those movies, but yeah, it has to, it's got to have a
Work.
purpose. Oh, that's
And
an
that's with
interesting
everything,
thought.
right? Like, you can't just do things because it's you gotta, like, do things for a reason, right? You can't just
Hmm.
and if the reason is to just because you want to, that's also a very good reason. Like, that might be why we do it, is because it's funny.
Hmm.
And, like, we don't need a why, but it's funny because you kinda, you look at a lot of the industry and it's very solutionism, right? You don't wanna be a solution looking for a problem. You want to know something and act on it. And that's how we worked with the Banksy and that's how we worked with Zion too. So it's you always want to you never want to be in that mindset of solutionism.
No, I completely agree. And we actually have, speaking about Zion, we have another question from someone in the chat, Shubham, who I'm going to rephrase this question just a little bit. So the question from him is, being a layer one blockchain, how are you guys working to help developers to create a frictionless Web3 experience? So I'm going to just add on to that a little bit. Do you guys currently have any, builder programs, developer programs? Kind of what are you doing to make it easier for people to get on board and use Zion?
Yeah, absolutely. So we are actually just kind of wrapping up we're wrapping up an audit and then starting another audit in 4 days. And so once we kind of finish this audit, and everything's kind of up to stuff there, we will be starting to release a lot more of these builder
Mhm.
programs and everything. As it comes to that, obviously, we are very excited to start the builder programs, and as it's similar to kind of the usage of it, we want to make it super, super simple and super, super easy to do, right? And
Yeah.
so whether that be super easy account abstraction libraries that you can kind of build with, whether that be like rockstar docs that we're going to be making and kind of hackathons and academies. I think there's there's two types of kind of builders, right? There's this very crypto native builder that we look at, and then there's this Web 2 guy, right? The story of the Web 2 guy who's like, I want to build this, but I don't know how to, I want to build this application and I want to be able to have, transparent ownership,
Yeah.
or reach a large masses like that. And the docs that you would write for a crypto developer are going to be extremely different than the docs you would write for that person, right? And so it's finding that balance and finding that separation between Studio and Zion that allow us to, both have the integrations that we have, say, like with Axelar and like a million, a ton of other ecosystem projects, but then also being able to, as we onboard the next, million users, onboard the next million developers as well, and just make it simple and make it easy, and have a really smooth environment for that.
No, I agree, and that's. Oh, sorry. One moment. My dog is just kicking his cage. Apologies if
What
that
kind
is
of dog is
loud.
it?
He's
Is he a good
new.
boy?
He's a good dog. He's like 6 months old though, so
Oh,
yeah. He's Newfoundland, so he's going to be
oh,
a
nice.
big monster. So
Oh yeah.
yeah, and he loves to every time I have this call weekly, I don't know why, but it's only today, like on Thursdays, where he's like, I'm gonna be extra loud. So I'm like, all right.
I respect it though. You gotta make
Yeah.
yourself known.
He likes he
He
likes
sees
the
the
attention.
listeners.
So
He wants
he
the platform.
knows,
That's what
yeah,
it is.
he knows, yeah. I think he's a lot like you. I hope he doesn't start burning things. So but
That would be bad. Yeah, that would not be a good boy.
but no, yeah, I completely agree with your last point there, besides the dog stuff. Of course, um And so going into a bit deeper of the ecosystem and things going on, Burnt and Zion. We have another thing. So this was something on my mind as well, as I've had a few people in the chat ask this as well. They're very active questions today from the
Oh
from
yeah.
the chatters. So thank you very much, Alex and Shubham as well. Would you be able to go over the XODVA's beta as well? Kind of give us the rundown of that and kind of how this provides value to users, and maybe how we keep this data private and secure.
Yeah, absolutely. And so uh, exodus is a term. We should really work on that because that's but it's supposed to be exodus with a V. But
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sorry about that. Yeah, so I mean, Exodus is, as our main thing, right? And I can kind of go into more detail on it. But what's included in, kind of extracting on the crypto is native account abstraction,
Yeah.
and then and this gets into additionally like email MPC wallets, social MPC wallets. And then there's some interesting things that we're also working on with WebAuthn, which is very, very exciting, but I don't want to speak too soon on that. But really what Exodus is a very, very simple, especially, there's going to be many phases to it, obviously, and this is, as we call it, the early access right now. But Exodus
Very
right
cool.
now, in its very simple capacity, just shows the ease of what we're building. Effectively all it is you go on, you enter your email, and you get a one-time password emailed to you, and you create a little profile, and boom, you've effectively created an account on the Zion chain. You get your pub key, and you get access to a private Discord. And all of the, we don't mention that you're getting airdropped an NFT. We don't mention that you're in the wallet creating process. And it's like,
Yeah.
I really hate the term wallets. It's one of my main things is just when people ask, it's like, oh yeah, well we used email for this. It's like, okay, but the concept that we're working with is still it still doesn't make much sense in my mind. Like,
Hmm.
let's treat it like an account, and so we're gonna have, and then eventually, right, with account abstraction, it gets really exciting because, then you could, very similar to like Facebook, right? With Facebook, you can log in with your username or your phone number or your email, and it's gonna be the exact same way, right? You're gonna be able to log in with your email, your phone number, your MetaMask, the Binance wallet, all connected to the same account on any kind of application on the Zion network, and so this is the starting point, right? This is the email to account abstraction, uh, and it's just going to be this foundation that we just grow and grow and grow from there. And there's going to be and we'll see some some functionality of it coming soon, more than just email, right? Then
Yeah.
actually getting assets, and then eventually like primary sales through only credit card and debit card or Cow and WeChat, and then secondary sales with only credit card and debit card and Cow and WeChat. And it's really exciting, just kind of this way we're looking at things, because we're effectively, we effectively worked for a year to create a Web2 experience, right? And
Yeah.
it's step by step, and as we kind of, as we said earlier, right, we're going through the audits, and as those kind of come to fruition, then we push it to we push it to the test net, and all eyeballing a Q4 mainnet, that we're very, very excited for. And so it's just
That is very
a lot of
exciting.
testing to be done. And, I know we work very closely with you guys on how we all test. So we're very grateful for that.
No, I appreciate that. And you mentioned something that leads me to another point. You mentioned that this is obviously the starting point, and how you like to view things. And you strike me as a big thinker. So I'm curious, with your starting point, and expecting things for Q4, what do you view personally as the end point for this, or what would you like to see as the end point?
I don't ever see there being an end,
Don't ever see
frankly.
it?
I really don't.
Interesting.
I
No,
really don't.
I
Right. Like, and
respect it.
I think, I could define like a pivotal moment of success,
Hmm.
which is when we're not a crypto company, right? And I think once what we've done is just a successful technology company, and then a successful company, once you drop the classifications and what you're doing, right? Like, I'm not in the business of crypto. I'm in the business of redefining ownership. I
Hmm.
happen to be getting there through crypto. And I think that's important because
Interesting. I
I'm
like
not a
that.
crypto company.
Yeah. No, I like that outlook 100%. It leads to an interesting point where, because obviously a lot of these things in our space starts with this idea that, we're trying to get away from the norm. But then I think over a period of time, once the project grows, obviously once our project is grown as well, we realize there's a lot of Web 2 stuff, a lot of Web 2 aspects, regular company aspects that you kind of have to keep, right? You have to have these things. And the idea of completely abandoning something like Web 2, I think just in my mind was suddenly like it flipped upside down. It was wrong, right? It was like if we can't just force it to change, right? It doesn't work like that. We need to have these different aspects. And I do like the thought you had where you're getting there through crypto. I think that a lot of people over time will realize that as well. But also, I do like many aspects that we have in this space, like things
Mm-hmm.
being more community focused and people having a voice. But it is a tough balance for any project and any company as it gets larger and larger to maintain the I guess more emotional and positive connection with users. And that kind of leads me to the question that I was going to mention earlier, kind of skipped over a little bit, but I would like to go a little more into it now around community. Because
Mm-hmm.
obviously the Galaxy community is very highly focused on. It's been a huge thing that helped us grow. The feedback, everything, our community programs. Um, how are you guys at this point in time still viewing that? And what sort of community programs maybe you guys are currently working on right now that users can get involved in?
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's a great question. I mean, and I think it comes back to, it comes back to what's important, right?
Mhm.
And you have a great crypto project without a community, it's nothing, right?
Yeah,
You could be, not to throw any shade, but I'll just say a hot take, right? You could be Cardano and have nothing and have a great community, right? And it's it's unfortunate, but you really we talk so much about like interoperability and composability, right? That it's like
yeah,
it would be so stupid not to take everyone along the ride, and you need everyone, right? You need a community, you need the early supporters and backers to tell you, hey, this doesn't work, right? You need
yeah,
someone to tell you that this is stupid, right? Or to say this is great. And it's especially as you go, right? Like there's aligned incentives of everyone, right? You look at what the success behind some of the biggest NFT projects are, and it's people actually any project really. It's people have a vested interest in it, right? There's
yeah,
we're decent, we're crypto. Everything is owned by everyone. And so each person acts as a stakeholder in the company in and of itself and has a vested interest in the company succeeding. And wants it to succeed, right? You look at like any board API club, they wear it as a profile, right? You have like Eminem and Snoop Dogg at like the VMAs rocking it, right? And that only
yeah,
increases the value of it. And there's like sorry. Yeah, there's like a monetary incentive, but you're also, you're bought in. There's a community, there's an aligned incentive. You're surrounded by people who are going in the same direction and kind of have that same vision. And so, I don't believe that you could get anywhere without the community, because that's all we are, right? We're
yeah.
if you can't be a decentralized organization if it's three people, right? Like that's just an organization, right? And so
Exactly.
you need, you need like by legal definitions, you also need a community, right? And otherwise,
100%.
it's
Yeah.
pointless.
No, I agree. I do. It does get tougher to keep that original theme in mind as you get
Yeah,
larger and larger because
absolutely.
I was here with Galaxy, right, when we had 3,000 people in this server, right,
Hmm.
and 60 people using the platform, and it was easy to connect with everybody at that time for me, right,
Yeah.
um, where I was able to remember who everybody that's ultimately the most active, etc. Connect with those people, because at the end of the day, I do think that is what drew me into this space the most was
Hmm.
it was so many different people coming together. And then I start getting involved with different people, different projects, and I'm able to learn the perspectives, outcomes, everything from all these people all over the world. And now I have like 400,000 people in here. It's a bit harder, obviously, to connect
Of
with
course.
everybody. Um, but I think if for everybody listening, I hope that you guys do know that even if it is a bit tougher, obviously, at the end of the day, the goal from myself to you guys is that you all feel involved and important and heard, of course. So I just want to throw that out there in the discussion that I haven't forgot that. So even if I don't get a chance to respond to every ping, because
Yeah.
sometimes I get like 600 pings in a day. So Um, but yeah, I do agree. I think that it gets difficult to keep that original kind of like heart behind it. But as long as projects remember that they should have these dedicated team members that do focus on this, because some projects will come up or even start using our platform, right? And
Mhm.
some here and there, and you'll see that like they don't have a dedicated people for their community to help work on this and grow it. Um, and it very quickly can impact them negatively. And
Alters. Yeah.
I think that many businesses and Web2 businesses could also benefit from this immensely as well. Although it might be a bit tough for somebody with, 1 billion active users, of course, like
Well,
something like but
yeah,
of
I mean, it's funny though, right? Because you look at like, I mean, you look at big companies today, and this might be a pretty big hot take, but it's like you kind of see it a little bit, right? Which like,
Mhm.
it's like, they're like big DAOs, right? Especially when you have a public company and like all the equity is out there, and it's like the board of directors is the largest shareholders, right? That's
Yeah.
very reminiscent of like some of the larger DAOs that are existing, right? Like they're not individual votes; they're elected board members. I think like Sushi Swap is probably a good example, albeit it's a
Yeah.
very
Yeah.
bad example of a DAO failing. Not failing. I'm sorry. I really like Sushi Swap. I didn't mean to say failing, but
No, it's okay.
um, but like of a way of but a way of just kind of looking at that and how it exists because you have people who, like, kind of shill the stocks, right? You have people who are kind of vested, and you go to, like, Warren Buffett's shareholder thing in
Mhm.
Wisconsin or whatever, and it's interesting because you can kinda look at, like, what a mature version in a way could look like. Obviously, it's not the US, right? It's a global power and it's a digital power and there's different issues. We're not talking about Coca-Cola here.
Yeah.
And so it's but I think as you look at what maturity could look like, it's reminiscent of that in a way.
I agree. There's a lot of comparisons to be made, and it's interesting to see how it evolves and how larger companies will react to the voice of the people versus like obviously
Mhm.
in our space where it is so prevalent, right? And if you don't listen to the voice of the people, you're finished, right? But if, for
Well, we're
example,
going to be that, right? Like, we're
yeah,
going to
yeah,
be
of
that.
course, yeah. But if something like, for example, if Facebook doesn't listen to the people, it's fine. It's like
For now, right?
for
For
now,
now.
right now at this point in time, yes. But obviously, I mean, they made larger moves that I think overall. I can't say obviously because I don't know their inner workings, but I think that were more so negatively impacted them over the last few years, like the whole meta change, etc. And I
Mhm.
think a bigger part of that was because, yeah, they did not ask the people. I don't think, I don't think they really were able to connect with the people that were using their platform, and get an understanding of those people. And they just kind of assumed that if they changed the name, they would sweep in all of these people that are
Mhm.
interested in this thing, and it didn't happen because now it's just a joke, right? Like people mostly just laugh at it. So, sorry, go ahead.
I mean, look at like IBM, right? Like IBM's a
Yeah.
very good example. I mean, they haven't had a positive quarter since like I don't know 2010, right? And
Mhm.
they were one of the largest technology companies, in the world. And you look at this trajectory of like where everything's going, and it's very easy. It's easy to see, right?
Mhm.
It's we're getting power kind of to the actual like I always hate that GameStop took the name "Power to the People" because I just use it so regularly, and it seems like I'm just quoting
It's
GameStop.
I know, but it's a solid phrase. Like
Solid
it's
phrase.
powerful, But they did kind of take that one, yeah. But I'm glad to know. I'm glad to know that you guys are very focused on the community side as well. I do have one more question about something with Zion as well. I'll go into that, and then I have a final question for you today, and we'll close out from there.
Cool.
Um, so I wanted to make sure we got this in there. If you could go over Zion Expedition, I don't believe we've covered that yet.
Yeah, oh, yeah, I guess we haven't. Jesus. So,
Went off the rails
Zion
a little
Ex
bit, but
Yeah, that was my bad. Happens a lot. Zion Expedition, yeah, I mean, it's our testnet campaign, right? We are in the middle of testnet. We had,
Mhm.
like, a private phase, which was just onboarding validators and making sure that the testnet's gonna work, right? And then we opened that up to early access people, which we ran, obviously kind of through you guys, right?
Yes.
And so you had the early access of the Zion Expedition. Um But and then, this next phase of XION Expedition that's going to be coming next week, right? So, we're wrapping up the early access of XION Expedition, this week and early next week, and you know, kind of stay tuned because next week, we should be seeing something about the next phases there. But all in all, it's the road to mainnet, right? It's battle testing the network. It's building the community, showing the community, especially through like Exodus, right? Showing what the vision is, right? And it's small, right? Like we're not there yet. Rome wasn't built in a day, but you can make steps of being like, hey, this is a different way we want you to look at solving this problem. And we can do that with Exodus by just mimicking Web 2, right? Like not asking you to connect your wallet or not asking you to sign in with your, wallet, I guess. But like, it's
Yeah, of
in
course.
that, and like in every jump that we make and everything that we want to test, and everything that needs to be ready for mainnet. I personally want it to be live on testnet, especially at least for a month, right?
Yeah,
Before we kind of hit mainnet. And so it's just built, and then allowing the community to be a part of it, right? Showing the vision, building in public, because the best testers are always going to be the alpha testers, the people who
100%.
know this is going to be shit, right? And it's okay because we want you to break it. Like that, when you break this now, it makes sure that when we're actually dealing with real money in the future, when we're dealing with real people in the future, things don't break.
No, I completely agree. And a lot of there's I see this a lot where people will just build in silence. And obviously it's nice that you're building, but like you need to have that involvement, I think. It's just
Yeah,
it's so important. Like it's so important. And that's I'm glad to
like,
hear. That's very exciting.
you got to get the people excited, right? Like, I mean, there's no point in not, right? And I,
No
and I
point in
think it's like
hiding everything.
it's hard. I'll be honest though, it's I get it, right? Like and I would say my first time around with the marketplace, that was like one of my big mistakes. Was building in silence. And it's dude, it's so easy to build in silence. Like it really is.
You
It's
just wake
nice.
up, do your job. Yeah.
People aren't telling you things are broken. People aren't, there's you're not on a clock either, right? Like you can kind
Yeah.
of release things can be perfect. But if you have something that's perfect, it's going to be shitty. Like inherently it is an inverse
Yeah.
correlation because it's not perfection doesn't exist. You need to build in public. You're never gonna get the best version of your product in stealth. You just gotta go with honestly, just go with shit. Like go with like the bare minimum, and then build on top of that because it's just going to be, people are gonna be built there alongside with you. You're not gonna be running and then midway through a marathon, you're gonna be like, oh, I'm over here. You gotta start at the finish line. I start at the starting
You're
point.
just
Shit, sorry,
suddenly at
fuck.
the start running the marathon, you're just already at the end.
Yeah, right? Like,
It's like
what's
those
the
it's like
point?
the lady that snuck into the marathon at the end quarter and then claimed she won and had, like, the best pace of all time.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you
Like,
just can't do that. It just doesn't
you
work.
can't do that, and then it's like, well, what's the point of even running the marathon, right? Like, I could sit here and be like, "Guys, I just run a marathon," and you'd be like, Did you? Are you okay? Cool." Like, no, you wanna see it happen, you wanna see the racers race, you wanna see all that happen, and so it's like
100%. Yeah, you can't just there's a million examples for that, honestly, and I love that analogy, but, it's
imagine
yeah,
watching a
it's
football game at the end score, like, at the end, you just see, like, the
just
end
the
score. It's
final,
not
just the yeah, that's it, or the boxing match starts and one guy's on the ground, like, that
yeah,
it's you're like,
cool.
"Oh,
What?
cool, I guess he won. Oh, that's
Thank God I
alright,
paid
cool."
$60 for this pay-per-view of this guy laying on the floor, like, I'm glad I got the
Exactly,
result, but
and in this analogy, the $60 pay-per-view is, maybe you bought into the token of something, right?
yeah, or your
And you're
time.
yeah, oh, beautiful, exactly. I couldn't agree more. I love that's such a funny analogy, but, no, I appreciate that. I'm glad to see you guys are being so open with this process. Getting community involved, working with the people, being public. It's something that people are not used to. It's something that takes time for people to get familiar with,
Mhm,
and learning that everything's not going to be perfect at all times. And
and it's okay.
sometimes you scale very fast too. People get excited and you're not prepared for certain things, and
Yep, I was
maybe
just gonna say that.
yeah, maybe it is tough, right? And we've seen this many times where because like when we started, we had these 3,000 users. We actually, I think 2 months later, had we went 3,000 to 50,000, and
Mhm,
we just hit a
yeah,
massive point when we released the ode alongside Polygon, and
we had so many users that, we were launching new credentials, and we were obviously live stress testing it with these new things,
Yeah.
and it was like, bam, this is breaking, this is breaking, this is breaking. And it took some time to get used to understanding that, yeah, some of that negative feedback right off the hop of something breaking, it doesn't necessarily mean, the world is over, right? It means
Hmm.
that you have something to fix, you have, people to talk to, and you just have to get it done. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, once you get used to kind of calming down the panic sector in your brain in this space, everything is so beautiful
Well,
at
I
the end.
remember when you guys, I mean, I've known you guys for a while. I remember throwback,
Yeah.
you guys would make the NFTs for people. I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah, we used to do used
I
to do
remember that very fondly.
I remember that. Yeah, it was we had we would also like try, like, if we had ran out of bandwidth in art, we would try to like get like pay for art to be done, etc. But it's like that grind is so important. Those
Uh-huh, you
points
need it.
where we had to, right? It was like we believe in this. We want to get it done. We want to make sure that the experience of the person using our platform is the best it can be, right? And
Mhm.
that was just everything of the focus at the time. Now obviously we have things like we have like we have templates that will do it for us, obviously things like
Yeah.
that where so it's, God, wow, that is a throwback. You just gave me like
Well,
a
even more,
flashbang
you
memory.
you guys didn't, I remember even, to claim it, we would send, you would just be a list of wallet addresses. Like, that would there wasn't
Yeah,
really, like,
yeah.
I mean, what it is now. It's crazy. You guys have done such a phenomenal job.
Yeah, we have email, Discord ID, everything we do. We can release tokens. Honestly, I struggle to remember everything at this point just because it's
That's a
such a
great
little
place to
for
be.
me.
That
But
is a great place to be.
yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thank you for that. That was such a throwback for me. Just give me like a flashbang there. I
Of, like,
remember
I
just like
remember the
I
Solana
re-
summer when you guys, yeah.
yeah, I'm like remembering like, is this art done? Is this art done? Um, no, I appreciate that. And so I have two last points for today.
Uh,
I was gonna obviously do a little closing out, but I have one thing that I saw in the chat from Alex Cat that I think is a very nice, interesting question. And I really do like your motto, every revolution is a creative act. His question is, how does Burnt make sure that its products and partnerships match this motto? Every revolution is a creative act. How do you stay focused on this? And how often do you need to remind yourself of this?
I wouldn't even say that we need to remind ourselves, honestly. Like, I
Mhm.
think it's, you look at the culture, and just like the people here. It's like it's funny because it's just what you would expect for the people doing, building what we're doing, right? And it's just
Yeah.
like the most awesome people who are just so passionate and so creative and so smart. And it's you just look at everyone on the burn team, and I mean, it's fucking stallions is like the best way to describe it, right? Of just, we all know what we're doing, we all know where we're going, right? It's like, it's like why we'll do some random, hey, we should, I'll wake up one day and it's like, hey, I made this outline of how we could light you on fire. And it's like, that's fucking cool. Right. And we have some cool projects. I mean, I'll drop one. Like, one of them is like one of the, one of the cute ones we're making, right? We're like, what if we had like death on chain? Like, can we track this? And it's like,
Death
that was one of
on
the dumb
chain.
ideas we had. And so we're thinking of calling it atonement.
Oh
Um,
my god.
and so it's like, but it's things like that, right? Like, it's the little things like that, like, especially when we have like the studio side, right? Where it's like, we're not boring. I'm not here to make infrastructure, right? I, we're
Mhm.
we're fucking good at it, but we're building the infrastructure to do what we want to do. We cannot do what we want to do without the things that we're building, right? And so it's we're not an inherent infrastructure company that way. We're a company that's designed to make change and to, provoke creative acts, right? And we get there via whatever mechanism that is, of course. But I think, uh, when we talk the term of revolution, there's no other place to be than crypto. um, so I hope that answered the question. But yeah.
No, I think it did, and I very much like that outlook. I think that things, other than the things that we focus on that we know we're good at and that we know we're grinding for and we know we have, these goals in mind, I do think that, that excitement, and that's something new, right? That you mentioned, like, somebody came to you and was like, we're gonna light you on fire, right? Those moments of like, oh wow, awesome, let's do this, right? We have those moments so often, and we even on our team as well, we still have those moments today. And it just is the reason why I think we're all here at the end of the day. And we want to
Mhm.
make this larger change, and we want to get the people involved. And you mentioned that, why not bring the people along? I completely agree. I think